Hey everyone, Allison here from the Protocase team. Today's Proto Tech Tip is especially useful for all of the audio-visual folks out there. I'm going to show you how to create circular gauges in Protocase Designer. So a circular gauge is a visual representation of a measuring device with a radial axis that covers any angle ranging from 0 to 360 degrees. Usually a needle or knob indicates the value on that scale. Circular gauges are common in the audiovisual world and are also used in instrumentation and other testing environments. Protocase Designer is our own design software that allows you to quickly and easily create custom enclosures, brackets, and panels. It's always free to use, and you can quote your design as many times as you want and order when you're ready. So back to circular gauges. Protocase Designer has all kinds of tools and features to allow you to make quick customizations to create exactly what you need. And one of those tools? You guessed it. You can quickly and easily make a circular gauge or dial for your custom enclosure or panel. Let's walk through how to do it. So I've got a panel already started in Protocase Designer. I'm going to click on Edit Face to go to the 2D editor. And now that we're in the 2D editor, which is also called the Face editor, I'm going to click on Library, then select Place Circular Gauge. Protocase Designer will generate a circular gauge for us to place. Now we can customize it. You'll find all of the customizations on the right-hand menu as long as you have your circular gauge selected. First, you can change the thickness of the line by selecting a different value in the drop-down. Below that drop-down menu, you can choose a new thickness for the ticks or the notches of the gauge. The higher the value, the thicker the line. And below this, you'll find the color selector, where you can customize the color of your circular gauge. You can also change the X and Y origin to change where your circular gauge is located. Of course, you can also drag the circular gauge to your desired location by being in the Move Item mode and dragging it where you need it to be. You can use the rotation field to change the rotation of the angle of your circular gauge. Radius refers to the overall radius of your shape. Tick length refers to the overall length of each notch or tick in your gauge. Below that, you can add or remove ticks by changing the overall number of ticks in your gauge. So as you can see, Protocase Designer automatically updates the corresponding number labels so that it reflects the number of ticks in the gauge. Label gap refers to the distance between the number label of each tick to the starting point of the tick itself. The higher the number, the more space between the number label and the tick. Starting angle is the starting point for the first tick in your circular gauge. Angle, on the other hand, refers to the overall length of your gauge, or the angle of your circle. In other words, Protocase Designer defaults to 180 degrees, but you can change that number to either make it a shorter gauge or a longer gauge. To make it a full circle, you can make the angle 360 degrees. Further down, you'll see a button called Edit Labels. Here, you can edit the label of each individual tick. Click Edit Label and change the text box for each tick as required. You can put in numbers or text in any field. Now, what if you don't want to have your ticks labeled with numbers or any other marking? You'll need to remove the number from every text box individually. One caution on that: if you're going to remove the label ticks, don't do it until you've finalized the number of ticks in your gauge. Otherwise, if you remove all the labels, then adjust the number of ticks, Protocase Designer is going to update the gauge with the corrected number of ticks, but each of the new ticks you've added will be labeled again. Finally, you can also customize your circular gauge's numbered labels to be your desired font, size, and type style. Once you've customized your circular gauge, I recommend saving it in your personal library, especially if you'll be using it again for other Protocase Designer assemblies. Simply click the Add to Library button and fill in all of the unique properties of your gauge. Then you can access it as a graphic in your personal library and place it whenever you need it again. One thing to note: if you do need to edit the circular gauge once you've saved it to your personal library, you'll need to ungroup it once it's been placed on your Protocase Designer assembly. Once you click Ungroup, all of the circular gauge properties will be displayed and you can make your edits as required. This new edited circular gauge will not be saved to your personal library unless you save it as a new object altogether for your library using the same steps I outlined before. Ultimately, the main takeaway from today's Proto Tech Tip is a circular gauge is a starting point that you can customize to exactly what you need for your custom panel or enclosure. Our goal with Protocase Designer is to give you the tools to easily design what you need for your projects without having to start from scratch. You can quote your design whenever you want, however often you want, and then order when you're ready. And if you run into any trouble or have a question, our team is here to help. Contact us by email, live chat on our website, or by commenting below. Thanks very much for watching this week's Proto Tech Tip. We'll see you back here next week.